Good day, sir. I am Cherian P. Mara, J2B. Rule 33. Equipment for sound signals. A vessel of 12 meters or more in length shall be provided with a whistle. A vessel of 20 meters or more in length shall be provided with a bell in addition to a whistle. And a vessel of 100 meters or more in length shall in addition be provided with a gong, the tone and sound of which cannot be confused with that one of the bell. The whistles, bell, and gong shall comply with the specification in Annex 3 to this regulation. The bell or gong or both may be replaced by other equipment having the same respective sound characteristic, provided that manual sounding of the prescribed signal shall always be possible. A vessel of less than 12 meters in length shall not be obligated to carry the sound signaling appliances prescribed in paragraph of this rule, but if she does not, shall be provided with some other means of making an efficient sound signals. Rule 34. Maneuvering and warning signals. When vessels are in sight of one another, a power-driven vessel underway, when maneuvering as authorized or required by these rules, shall indicate that maneuver by the following signals on her whistles. 1 short blast to mean I am altering my course to starboard. 2 short blasts to mean I am altering my course to port. 3 short blasts to mean I am operating astern propulsion. Any vessels may supplement the whistle signals prescribed in paragraph of this rule by light signals, repeated as appropriate whistles the maneuver is being carried out. This light signal shall have the following significance. 1 flash to mean I am altering my course to starboard. 2 flashes to mean I am altering my course to port. 3 flashes to mean I am operating astern propulsion. The duration of each flash shall be about 1 second. The interval between flashes shall be about 1 second, and the interval between successive signals shall be not less than 10 seconds. The light used for this signal shall fitted be in all-round white light, visible at minimum range of 5 miles, and shall comply with the provision of Annex 1 to this regulation. When aside of one another in a narrow channel or fairway, a vessel intended to overtake another shall, in compliance with Rule 9, indicate her intention by the following signals on her whistle. 2 prolonged blasts followed by 1 blast to mean I am intended to overtake you on your starboard side. 2 prolonged blasts followed by 2 short blasts to mean I intended to overtake you on your port side. The vessels about to be overtaken, when acting in accordance with Rule 9, shall indicate her agreement by the following signals on her whistle. 1 prolonged, 1 short, 1 prolonged, 1 short blast, in that order. When vessels in sight of one another are approaching each other, and from any cause either vessels fails to understand the intention or action of the other, or in a dub, whether sufficient action in being taken by the other to avoid collision, the vessels in dub shall immediately indicate such dub by giving at least 5 short and rapid blasts on the whistle. Such signals may be supplemented by a light signal or the least 5 short and rapid flashes. A vessel nearing a bend or area of channel or fairway where other vessels may obscure or intervene obstruction shall sound 1 prolonged blast. Such signal shall be answered with a prolonged blast by any approaching vessels that may be hearing around the bend or behind the intervening obstruction. If whistles are fitted on the vessels on the distance apart more than 100 meters, 1 vessels only shall be used for giving maneuvering and warning signals. Rule 35. Sound signals in restricted visibility. In or near an area of restricted visibility, whether by day or night, the signals prescribed in this rule shall be used for follows. A power-driven vessel making way through the waters shall sound at interval or not more than 2 minutes 1 prolonged blast, a power-driven vessels underway but stop and making no way through the water shall sound or at interval of not more than 2 minutes, 2 prolonged blasts in succession with an interval about 2 seconds between them. A vessel not under command, a vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver, a vessel constrained by her draft, a sailing vessel, a vessel engaged in fishing, and a vessel engaged in towing or pushing another vessel shall intended at the signals prescribed in paragraph A or B of this rule. Sound at interval of not more than 2 minutes 3 blasts in succession, namely 1 prolonged followed by 2 short blasts. A vessel engaged in fishing when an anchor and vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver when carrying out her work at anchor shall intend instead of the signals prescribed in paragraph G of this rule shall the signals prescribed in paragraph C of this rule. A vessel towed, or if more than one vessel is towed, the last vessel of the tow of if manned shall an interval of not more than 2 minutes sound 4 blasts in succession, namely 1 prolonged followed by 3 short blasts. When practicable, this signal shall be made immediately after the signal made by the towing vessels. When a pushing vessels at a vessels being pushed ahead are rigidly connected in a composite unit, they shall be regarded as a power-driven vessels and shall give the signals prescribed in paragraph A or B of this rule. A vessels at anchor shall at intervals of not more than 1 minute ring the bell rapidly for about 5 minutes in a short 100 meters in more length. The bell shall be sounded in the forepart of the vessels, and immediately after the ringing of the bell, the gong shall be sounded rapidly for about 5 seconds in the after part of vessels. A vessel at anchor may in addition sound 3 blasts in succession, namely 1 short, 1 prolonged, and 1 short blast to give warning of her position and the possibility of collision to an approaching vessels. A vessels aground shall give the bell signals and if required to going signals prescribed in paragraph G if this rule, and shall in addition give 3 separate and distinct strokes on the bell. Immediately before and after rapid ringing of the bell, a vessels aground may in addition sound and appropriate vessel signals. A vessel of 12 meters or more than less than 20 meters in length shall not be obligated to give the bell signals prescribed in paragraph G and H of this rule. However, if she does not, she shall make the sum of efficient sound signals an interval or not more than 2 minutes. A vessel of less than 12 meters in length shall not obligate to give the above mentioned signals, but if she does not, shall make some other efficient sound signals at interval or not more than 2 minutes. A pilot vessel when engaged on pilotage duty may in addition to signals prescribed in paragraph A, B, or G of this rule sound of the identity signals consisting in 4 blasts. Rule 36. Signals to attract attention. If necessary to attract the attention of another vessels, any vessels may make light or sound signals that cannot be mistaken for any signals authorized elsewhere in this rule, or may direct the beam of her searchlights in the direction of the danger in such a way or not embarrass any vessels. Any lights to attract the attention of another vessel shall be such that if cannot mistaken for any of the navigation. For the purpose of this rule, the use of high-intensity intermittent or revolve lights such as strobe lights shall be avoided. Rule 37. Distress signals. When a vessel is in distress and requires assistance, she shall use or exhibit the signals described in Annex 5 to this regulation. Rule 38. Exemption. Any vessels or class of vessels, provided that she complies with the requirements of the international regulation for preventing collision at sea, 1960, the keel of which is laid, of which is the corresponding stage of construction before the entry into force of this regulation, may be exempted from compliance therewith as follows. The installation of lights with ranges prescribed in Rule 22 until 4 years after the date of entry into force of this regulation, the installation of lights with colors specification as prescribed in Section 7 of Annex 1 to this regulation until 4 years after the date of entry into force of these regulations. The repositioning of lights as a result of conversion from imperial to metric units and rounding of measurement figures. Permanent exception, the repositioning of the masthead lights on vessels of less than 150 meters in length resulting from the prescription of Section 3A of Annex 1 to this regulation. Permanent exception. The repositioning of this masthead light on vessels of 150 meters or more in length resulting from prescribed of Section 3 of Annex 1 to this regulation until 9 years after the date of entry into force of this regulation. The repositioning of this masthead light resulting from the prescribed of Section 2B of Annex 1 to this regulation until 9 years after the date of entry into force of this regulation. The repositioning of side lights resulting from the prescription of Section 2G and Section 3B of Annex 1 to this regulation until 9 years after the date of entry into force of this regulation. The requirements for sound signals appliances prescribed in Annex 3 to this rules regulation until 9 years after date entry into force of this regulation. The repositioning of these all-round lights resulting from the prescription of Section 9B in Annex into this regulation. Permanent exemption. That's all, and thank you for watching.